Good afternoon. My name is Septi Nurhasanah. I will present my materials about the philosophy of science. Chapter 1 is the philosophy in brief. Philosophy is one way of determining the most reasonable answers to fundamental questions of life. Literally, philosophy means the love of wisdom. It is derived from the two Greek words. Philos means love and sophia means wisdom. So, the philosophy is the study of general and fundamental problems concerning matters such as existence, knowledge, truth, language, beauty, law, and etc. And next is the aims and the values of philosophy. Philosophy holds that there are 5 characteristics of a fully functioning person, are also called self-actualization, actualized person as follows. First is a fully functioning person has the ability to form his or her own opinion and beliefs. Second is fully functioning means profound self-awareness. Self-actualized people always try to get rid of illusion. The third is flexibility serves as the third characteristic of self-actualization. The fourth is self-actualized people are generally creative. And the last is fully functioning people have clearly conceptualized. Next is the history of philosophy. Philosophy as a principle and the theory began in more than 2,500 years ago. And then there are the era of philosophy. The first era is the ancient period. Ancient is the philosophy of Greco-Roman work from the 6th century. And next is the pre-Socratic. And after that, the Sophists and Socrates, or the periods of Plato and Aristotle. There are such as historians, such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. And next is the post-Aristotelian ancient philosophy. They are divided into 4, such as Epicurus, the Stoics, the Skeptics, and Plotinus. And the second era is the medieval philosophy. It is divided into 2. There are rationalism and empiricism, and then being and becoming. And the third era is the modern philosophy. It is began from the 1600 till 1800. And then the fourth era is the contemporary philosophy. It is began from the 1800 till now. And then next is the major areas of philosophy. It is divided into 3. The first one is the metaphysics. Metaphysics is the study of the most general or ultimate characteristic or reality or existence. For example, is the existence of God. And the second is epistemology. The word epistemology derives from 2 Greek words, epistem meaning knowledge and logos meaning study of or theory of. In English, theory of knowledge is used interchangeably with epistemology and these sources of philosophy. Knowledge is more than simply a belief. A belief is an opinion, so knowledge is justified through belief. And the last is ethics. Ethics evaluates human actions. There are three theories of morality. The first one is cognitivism, and the second is imperativism, and the third is emotivism. And chapter 2 is theory of knowledge. The first one is the notion of knowledge. The notion of knowledge is the study of the heart and the soul of philosophy that has been written since the beginning of the 17th century. And the second is requirement for knowledge. It is divided into, the first is the belief as a necessary condition, and the second is the truth as a necessary condition. The truth as a necessary condition divided into 4. It is the first the coherence theory of truth, and the last is the pragmatic theory of truth. And the next is the justification as a necessary condition. Next is the origins of knowledge. The first one is skepticism. Skepticism is man is a doubter, so people doubt about everything or something. And next is empiricism. Empiricism divided into, first is classical empiricism, second is modern empiricism, and the last is radical empiricism. Next is rationalism. Rationalism divided into, the first, reason as basic of knowledge. Rationalism is the belief that at least some knowledge about reality can be inquired through reason, independently of sense experience. And the second is rationalism as held by Plato and Descartes. Plato claims that genuine knowledge is based on the true realities. And the third is contemporary rationalism and problem of certainty. Contemporary philosophy has been dominate with empiricism, epistemology. And chapter 3 is some basic notion about science. The first is the notion of science. Sources of knowledge can be categorized into several types. First, experience, authorities, deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, scientific approach, philosophy, mysticism, divine revelation, and then extrasensory. And next is knowledge claims. The first one is positivism. Positivism is sometimes called the scientific method and empirical science. And the second is constructivism. It claims that knowledge through an alternative process and a set of assumptions which hold that individuals seek understanding of the world in which they live. Next is advocacy or participatory knowledge claim. This knowledge claims has some characteristics. There are participatory actions. It is focused on helping individuals free themselves, and it is emancipatory in that it helps people from the constraints and etc. And next is pragmatic knowledge. Pragmatic knowledge is not committed to any one system on philosophy and reality. It is research have considerable freedom of choice. And next is scientific method. Scientific method is the natures are familiar. As much as possible, the scientist is to approach experience with open mind and recording whatever presents itself to the sense. And next is inductive. Next is scientists' attitude and the assumptions they make. The first is the assumption. The assumptions must be formal, material, ancient, and final cause. The second is the attitudes of scientists. Scientists maintain a highly skeptical attitude towards the data of science, and scientists are objective and impartial. impartial. Scientists deal with the facts, not values. And then the last is scientists are not satisfied with isolate facts, but seek to integrate and systemize their findings. Next is scientific truth. Next is scientific truth. Scientific truth is divided into the instrumentalist view, the realist view, and the conceptual relativist view. And then scientific theory. There are several characteristics of the theories. A theory must meet the principle of parsimony and explain the observed facts relating to a particular problem. A theory must be consistent with the observed facts and with the already established knowledge. And then the theory must provide means for its verifications. And the last is a theory should stimulate new discoveries and indicate further areas in need of investigations. And chapter 4 is scientific developments. The first is scientific developments. The claim that knowledge or generally ideas are derived from particular things by means of observations was put forward by Aristotle. It is divided into 4 revolutions. The first is Kuhnian scientific revolution. Kuhn describes the history of science as a repeating cycle of stage and provides an account of how scientific practice is shaped by deep assumptions of a worldview of which working scientists may be dimly aware. And then pseudoscience revolution. A great deal of philosophers of science distinguish science from pseudoscience. They claim that there are important differences between science and pseudoscience. Of course, as the name indicates, pseudoscience is viewed as of lower quality than science, or put it another way, it is not scientific. And then the third is epistemological anarchism. Science as an enterprise, both rational and progressive, is deeply held. Philosophers of science attempt to justify this belief by describing the rational elements of the scientific methods. And then next is science as a social institution. Thomas Kuhn introduced the ideas that philosophers, historians of science have recently agreed that science has social being shape, social contents, and the commitments of the individual scientists have significantly determined what is and is not science. And next is chapter 5 is history of science. The first is mythopoetical science. Mythopoetical science is also named ancient science, and from the point of view that most modern scholars, it is possibly what is meant by irrational science or something unscientific. Next is science in early. Next is rational science. The sixth from Wikipedia. It has been stated that science has developed through several periods. That is, from the early cultures, at least from the beginning of writing, through the Middle Age, and to the early modern. Science in early culture. In early culture, they applied mathematics and empirical research in their scientific investigation. In the Middle Age, Greek philosophy was able to find some support under the newly created Arab Empire and the Islamic Golden Age, a period of Muslim scholarship, lasts until the 14th century, and then early modern science. The early modern science in Europe was risen in a period of great upheavals, and then the last is early modern science and contemporary science. Scientific revolution was viewed as the foundation of modern science during the 19th century. Scientists and philosophers have been trying to uncover the secrets of their nature, the pursuits of knowledge about the nature, both natural and satisfy his curiosity. Both natural and social will continue as it is the nature of man to satisfy his curiosity. Science will always develop because it is strongly seen. So that is my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.